The undeniable video proof of an incredibly intense, highly debated physical strategy against the Indiana Fever just hit the internet, and Sophie Cunningham just flipped the entire script and broke the internet in the process. During this weekend's massive, highly anticipated preseason matchup between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty at the Barclays Center, the mainstream broadcast missed the true reality of what was happening on the hardwood. They glossed over the controversial plays. They ignored the heavy defensive pressure. But thanks to viral fan footage and the unapologetic ferocity of the Indiana Fever's primary enforcer, the entire WNBA ecosystem is currently in a state of shock. Sophie Cunningham did not just go viral for hitting massive three-pointers. She went viral because she turned a professional basketball court into a fortress, actively blocking, sealing off, and physically clearing space against anyone who dared to pressure Caitlin Clark. And Stewart, the highly celebrated face of the New York Liberty, just found out exactly why the Indiana Fever are becoming the most physically intimidating franchise in the WNBA. Welcome back to WNBA Pro, the entirely unfiltered, fiercely analytical home for the smartest basketball conversations on the internet. If you are looking for corporate PR fluff, you need to turn this video off right now. Today, we are breaking down the viral footage of Stewart's controversial off-ball contact, Sophie Cunningham's viral rampage as the ultimate bodyguard, the reality of the Liberty's defensive scheme, the massive value of Cunningham's contract, and the legendary TikTok celebration that just cemented the Indiana Fever's dynasty culture. Winner on the night. Let us start by setting the scene and exposing the exact catalyst that sparked Sophie Cunningham's viral explosion. To fundamentally understand why Cunningham was out there clearing space like a nightclub bouncer, you have to look at the unedited fan footage that the mainstream media barely discussed.
Hey, real quick, let me kill the sound because it got copyright music. You guys see that? Did y'all? And now she throwing up her hands. She's throwing up her hands like she ain't just damn me. Boom. Lead forward and assault Sophie Cunningham, bro. Dirty fucking play there. That was a dirty play. Now, it looked like the referee actually might call this. It says we need...
Before Sophie Cunningham went on her blocking rampage, she was on the receiving end of a blatant, highly unprovoked physical play by the former MVP, Stewart. Look closely at this raw fan footage. As Cunningham attempts to navigate the perimeter, Stewart actively steps directly into her path. But Stewart does not just set a firm, legal basketball screen. She abandons fundamental basketball mechanics and leans her entire upper body weight forward, launching a highly controversial, dangerous elbow directly into the chest area of Sophie Cunningham. And then, Stewart immediately throws her hands straight up into the air, looking at the referee and acting as if the heavy collision was a complete accident. That is a highly controversial and heavily debated basketball play.
So this is a slow motion version of it. So as you guys can see here, just look at this. Boom, bro. Boom. Just completely look at Stewart's face. And this is who we got in charge of negotiating the CBAs. Look at this. Like, how do something like this happens always?
If you look at the slow motion, frame-by-frame analytical breakdown, the biomechanics of this specific play reveal why it has sparked such intense debate. Stewart's feet are moving outside the three-point arc. She physically launches her body weight forward, seeking out the heavy collision. She extends her arm away from her torso to establish maximum physical dominance. Some fans believe this absolutely crosses the line into a non-basketball play, while others see it as just part of playoff-level intensity. But what exactly did Sophie Cunningham do when she absorbed this massive hit from a significantly taller forward? She did not flop. She did not complain to the referees. She absorbed the hit, maintained her vertical balance, and immediately prepared to go to war. Because Sophie Cunningham knew exactly what the New York Liberty were attempting to do. The Liberty knew they mathematically could not stop the hyperspeed transition offense of the Indiana Fever, so they resorted to maximum physical pressure. They were actively targeting Caitlin Clark.
Talking about right here. So this was Sophie here. But watch how this girl is hacking Caitlin Clark. Watch this. Caitlin Clark is getting hacked. Watch. Watch. Look at her, hacking Caitlin Clark all over. Now watch Sophie. Boom. Now, when Sophie did it,
Look incredibly closely at exactly how the New York Liberty were defending Clark on the perimeter. Look at the aggressive hand-checking. Look at the defenders heavily crowding, grabbing, and physically testing Caitlin Clark's space as she simply attempts to navigate the half-court offense. The Liberty defenders were operating under the cynical assumption that the referees were simply going to swallow their whistles and allow the generational superstar to face unmatched physicality. And that is exactly when Sophie Cunningham decided to completely shut down the entire New York Liberty defensive strategy. The cameras caught Cunningham doing exactly what she does better than almost anyone else in the WNBA. She was setting massive, uncompromising screens that sent a clear message. She was physically shoving defenders away from Clark with a level of raw, unfiltered aggression that you rarely see in modern basketball.
Sophie didn't look like she leaned into her, bro. Let me see. Nope. I don't think she did. I don't think. Oh, and old girl flopped. Look at this damn flop. She threw her arms up and everything. Now, if we go back and look at what happened to Sophie, like people want to say Sophie did the same thing.
There was one specific viral sequence that sent the internet into an absolute frenzy. Caitlin Clark was aggressively driving the lane, and a Liberty defender was closing in on her blind side. But Sophie Cunningham came flying in from the weak side and set the exact kind of hard, uncompromising screen that would make an old-school NBA enforcer proud. She did not just casually create a few inches of space. She occupied the space. She forcefully inserted her own body between Caitlin Clark and the incoming defender with a ferocity that stunned the arena. And look at the highly theatrical reaction of the New York Liberty defender in this exact clip. When Cunningham sets her legal, perfectly positioned screen to protect Clark, the Liberty defender throws her arms into the air and dramatically collapses backward onto the hardwood, desperately trying to sell the call.
Look at Sophie. Sophie ain't flopped. She immediately, Brianna Stewart, a big gal. Look, she ain't throw her hands up. See, there's a big difference. Watch this one here. Look, she flopped. That was a half-second.
Compare that highly theatrical flop directly to exactly how Sophie Cunningham reacted when she took the heavy elbow from Brianna Stewart earlier in the game. Cunningham absorbed the massive physical blow like a warrior. The Liberty defender felt a legal screen and completely flopped to the floor begging for a whistle. That is the exact difference between a gritty, authentic basketball enforcer and someone trying to manipulate the referees. This viral footage went nuclear across social media. Educated basketball fans were actively calling her Caitlin Clark's personal bodyguard, and Brianna Stewart, who initiated the early contact, saw this massive viral footage and felt exactly how the rest of the league views the Indiana Fever right now. The rest of the WNBA is heavily intimidated. Let me explain the reality of the situation. Last season, Caitlin Clark absorbed significantly more physical punishment than almost any other player in the entire WNBA. She was constantly hit, shoved, and crowded by veterans. The massive accumulation of that daily physical toll contributed directly to the soft tissue injuries that ended her rookie season after just 13 games. Those injuries happened because Clark was taking hard hits every single night. Nobody stepped up to stop it, except Sophie Cunningham. And now, she is officially back. 9 agonizing months after tearing her MCL. 9 grueling, painful months of intense physical rehab, wondering whether her knee would structurally hold up. The front office eventually offered her a heavily discounted 1-year deal for exactly $665,000. She signed it because she desperately wanted to be here. She wanted to be the ultimate enforcer for the greatest show on earth. And on Saturday afternoon at the Barclays Center, she proved that 9 months of grueling knee rehab did not change a single thing about who she is. She went a highly efficient 5 of 8 from the field, scored 13 critical points, and finished with a staggering +8 rating in the box score. What Sophie Cunningham does on the basketball court is not without massive controversy. The devastating moving screens she sets operate on the bleeding edge of what WNBA officials will tolerate. There are going to be contentious games where she picks up technical fouls. But having a fully healthy Sophie Cunningham on your roster is an undeniable mathematical cheat code. It fundamentally changes how opposing defenses approach your franchise player. If you know that playing overly physical against Caitlin Clark is going to directly result in Cunningham matching that intensity on the next possession, you actively think twice about initiating that contact. The enforcer effect is real. After the victory, Sophie Cunningham posted a TikTok video that immediately went viral. She was in her New York hotel room lip-syncing to "Here for the Party" by Gretchen Wilson, flexing her surgically repaired knee and demanding dubs in the chat. That viral TikTok encapsulates Cunningham perfectly. She plays hard, celebrates hard, and brings an undeniable, highly marketable energy to the WNBA. Here is the brutal business reality for the Indiana Fever front office. Sophie Cunningham on a one-year deal is a massive front office steal. She is providing all-star level value to the deeply entrenched team culture. If she continues this dominant performance, other franchises like the Phoenix Mercury or the Las Vegas Aces will aggressively try to poach her. The Fever could lose the ultimate enforcer, the massive personality, and a foundational cultural piece that is genuinely irreplaceable. The front office better start thinking about a multi-year extension before another team swoops in. Every single team on the Indiana Fever's grueling schedule is going to feel Sophie Cunningham's presence this season. She is back with a vengeance, and Caitlin Clark has never been structurally safer. A massive shout out to our loyal channel members like Sarah, Mark, and David for financially supporting the channel and demanding elite, uncompromising tactical analysis. Hit that subscribe button right now if you absolutely love the gritty, uncompromising enforcer mentality as much as we do, and if you want the deepest roster breakdown on the internet. Drop your unfiltered predictions in the comments section below and let me know your favorite Sophie Cunningham bodyguard moment from this weekend. Hit the notification bell immediately because the highly anticipated next preseason game is on April 30th against the Dallas Wings, and we are covering every single second of the action.